Okay, we are back for Roundtable Rams episode number 10. I am once again joined by Billie Melissa and Buddy here to talk all about Rams football and their kind of relatively quiet free agency, but not so quiet free agency period here. Obviously, the biggest thing to talk about was the blockbuster trade for Trent McDuffie. That was huge and kind of led to this other thing. But Trent McDuffie, all pro, he is now the highest paid cornerback in the league. Let me see. I forgot what his contract was. I don't know if anybody else has
Oh
that.
yeah, 124.
You're 124.
Yeah, so it's like 30. How much is it? 30.
100 million guaranteed, pays him 31 million.
31 million, yeah, and I believe 30.1 was the previous record held by Sauce Gardner, who is now part of the Colts, and went from the Colts to the Jets. I mean, the Jets went from the Jets to the Colts. But Trent McDuffie is now the highest earner in annual money. Yeah, this was huge for the Rams. They needed to get better in the secondary. That was their Achilles heel in 2025. That's how the Seahawks were able to do what they did to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. And obviously, the Rams were not going to let that go without upgrading the position. They started with that. They started with Trent McDuffie, and honestly, I was like, okay, cool. Like maybe they're going to bring back Roger McCreary. Maybe they're going to bring back Kobe Durant, Darion Kendrick. There could be a case there for him. Instead, they go, hey, Chiefs, we want your other guy. So they went and signed Jaylen Watson, who was their free agent, pending free agent. They signed him through a 3-year deal, reuniting him with Trent McDuffie.
Yep.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, like the Rams clearly needed to upgrade their cornerback position, and they did it in a snap of a finger, right? And they went and get obviously the Super Bowl champions, right? People, these guys who thrived with the Chiefs, you know. So it's no surprise there. You know, we all knew to a certain extent that the Rams wanted to go all in, and they made it be known, right? Getting a guy like Trent McDuffie, an all-pro, getting a guy like Jaylen Watson, who's these two guys have played in meaningful playoff games in the biggest stage of them all. The Rams want to get back to that. Guess where the Super Bowl's at this year? SoFi Stadium. Last time it was at SoFi Stadium, the Rams played and won there, right? The Rams know that this year of all years, they want to get it done with the Matthew Stafford, part of it, right? Is he going to play in 2027? Who knows? They don't care. 2026 is all they're focused on, as they should be. Fixing the cornerback room was a need. They did it immediately. Now, really, it's all. I know we're gonna get it to it later, but it's all about fine tuning the other spots, right? Wide receiver, offensive line, maybe getting depth in the pass rush, right? But they fixed what they needed to fix. It was a clear and obvious need. They did it really fast. Now it's all about who are they going to get next and what are they going to do in the draft, right? But Les Need is not playing around. Um, F them picks 2.0.
Yeah,
Um,
basically.
1.0 worked out for them. 2.0, it's now wait and see, but so far things are looking well. It's barely March. We don't have we have 5 more months to the start of the season. 6 more months to the start of the season, but so far Rams are looking good, and it's no surprise why they have the top odds right now to be Super Bowl champions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think one more important thing to bring up about the Trent McDuffie and the Jalen Watson trade and signing is these guys are not only really good coverage corners, but they're also really good in run defense, which is another stickling point for the Raider or for the Rams. Trent McDuffie, he's the 11th ranked cornerback on PFF, overall grade is 75.6, but his run defense grade is ranked 11th as well, 78.5. And for Jalen Watson, he was a ranked 16th, 74.1 overall grade on PFF, but his run defense grade, 83.5, is ranked 6th. So I think that was another important part of what Les Snead and the defense were looking at. Chris Shula and Sean McVay wanted cornerbacks that could also be utilizing that department in the run defense department to help out. I mean, because you got good pass rushers, but when it comes to run stop defense, they're not necessarily the greatest on that front. That could have been better, is what I'm saying. And also, you bring these guys in, could be coverage corners, but they can also, they can help with the run defense, run stoppage. Very, very important detail there. And I think it's huge. Like, exactly like you said, buddy, like that was their biggest issue defensively, the biggest issue team wise, besides special teams, which we know that they got rid of Chase Blackburn and replaced him Bubba Ventrone. But the other only thing there was a secondary 276 passing yards given up per game in 2025. You can't do that against a Brock Purdy. You can't do that against a Sam Darnold and all the other competitive teams that the Rams always play year in and year out. You just can't do that. But if the Super Bowl goes through Seattle, you do this to stop them.
I mean, they're having one of the best off seasons by far. They're filling all their holes. Coaching staff gone, no problem. Fill it with someone else. And even having backups to come up behind them. They're really doing everything they need to do. I think they're being smart. Of course, those are big contracts, especially for McDuffie, but like that's your issue. That's what you got to do. You were this close. And sometimes you just got to pay that a little bit. You got to pay that price to get to where you're going. And I think that this is going all in for Matthew Stafford, right? Like this could be his last season and they want to see him off in a big way.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And exactly like you said, buddy, it's F them picks 2.0 is what this is. And and it makes sense. Like you patch up the holes that were a limit to you in 2025, and you're under the assumption that this could be Matthew Stafford's final year. So why would you not go all in? And secondary was that big Achilles heel for the team. So you go and you upgrade that in a big way. But it now begs the question that I've been actually asking for weeks now, because now the free agency is here. Now that they've gotten two guys that are vastly better than the guys I'm about to mention, no offense. What do you do with Roger McCreary? What do you do with Darion Kendrick? And what do you do with Kobe Durant? Kobe Durant, I know we talked about him before. I think of the three, I think Kobe Durant might be the guy you still want to bring back. But I don't know. Do you guys think any of those guys are going to be back?
Uh, I think it's worth taking a shot at Kobe Durant. He could make 10 million a year, which is a little bit, that could be a little scary for the Rams considering they just paid Watson and they paid Trent McDuffie. But you know, adding depth to that now, doesn't hurt. I mean, in the six losses that they had last year, the cornerbacks just completely they were toast. They were toast, right? So it's clear that, the more the merrier in a way, right? I feel like Kobe Durant is that guy to bring back. He had his best season of his career last year. He showed flashes of what he can be. He's not a lockdown corner, clearly. That's why the Rams went and got, Watson and McDuffie. But, adding a guy like Durant who's pretty solid, who could cover the slot, who do a multitude of things as we saw. That Buccaneers game was the best game of his career. So, not saying that, he's going to be that every single week moving forward, but, he showed flashes of what he can be. And if he could be that guy on the slot and he could be really, I feel like he could be a really good complement to McDuffie and Watson and whoever else they add, right? So, I think Durant should be the focus in terms of the defense and in terms of filling that cornerback depth. I feel like Durant should be that guy, and he's a homegrown guy, right? I mean, like they drafted him, right, and they saw him develop, and he even had a pretty solid playoff run as well. So I mean, I feel like Durant is the guy who they should go for.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, he's 28. He's been around the building. McDuffie, I think, is 25. I think Jaylen Watson's 27. So, that's a young room that you have there. I think you want to keep a guy in the building who kind of can just bring them in, slot them in, and then I think McCreary and Kendrick could probably find jobs elsewhere. So
Yeah, I
that seems
mean,
like for me the move to make.
yeah, I mean, Darion Kendrick was always going to be a rotation, like kind of more backup guy. I don't think he's a starter that they needed or whatever. But I think you're right. Kobe Durant should be the guy that the other younger guy that they bring back. He's proven that he's pretty good, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But the other thing I don't think that we talked about last episode because it happened in between was the Rams also brought back Tyler Higbee.
Yeah.
Tyler Higbee is back.
Yeah,
They're keeping the tight end room together.
yeah,
They're just having a great just having a great time. They're like, no problem. All these guys helping us out. Keep bringing them back, keep paying them, or paying them as much as they need to be paid, and keeping the team together. It's important when you really were only one game away, one play away. You don't want to upset that chemistry too much. There's not so much that you need to do. So yeah, I mean, great for them.
yeah. I'm really interested to see what type of role Tyler Higbee plays. Like, is this more of a like okay, farewell type of thing? You've been with Stafford this entire time. Um, or is it more like, is it going to be more involved, right? I know the past 2 years he's dealing with injury, and we kind of talked about this last episode, right? So it's like, are they bringing him back more so for like kind of like feelings wise, or are they bringing him back because he's going to be more, you know, in the offense in a way, right? So I'm really interested to see. Obviously, he's up there in age, and like I mentioned last week, like you have younger, a little bit more talented guys like Terrence Ferguson, David Sadler. Like I feel like they should maybe kind of take the reins. So I'm really interested to see how they use Tyler Higbee. Um, so that's really interesting to me. But I'm really not mad at it, especially since you did cover. You got guys who they needed in terms of the defense in the cornerback room. So Higby was a little bit like a kind of like a cherry on top. Are they done? I don't think so, because obviously you still have the draft, and really interesting to see what they do with the number 13 overall pick. But not mad at all at the Tyler Higbee thing. It's more so it's like, okay, kind of seems like this will be his last year, or however left Stafford has, right? So I'm
Yeah,
just interested to see how they use him this year.
they signed him to a 2-year deal, but I think you're right because I mean Colby Parkinson was the tight end one above Tyler Higbee even when he came back from injury,
Yeah.
and I think for obvious reasons because Colby Parkinson's like Tyler Higbee
Yeah.
2.0. So
Mm.
I think that's the case. Is I think you keep Colby Parkinson as tight end one, and then you got Terrence Ferguson there. That's about more your blocking packages type tight end, and then Tyler Higbee can still be your kind of like pass catcher
Sure.
utilization. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how they use him. But moving right into the draft, what is the move here? You're at number 14 overall now. 14 or is it 13?
13.
What? 13. Sorry,
13.
13. Thank you. Number 13 overall. You have a really important choice to make. Do you boost that wide receiver room? Do you go offensive line to bring in more depth and to bring in more competition? Because just because you have a solid offensive line does not mean you need those second or third tier guys that can come in. And as we've talked about before, the Rams always run into issues on their offensive line like clockwork. So there's a couple moves they can make. Or do you trade down? Do you trade down lower, way lower, and you stack potentially another first round pick for 2027 so you get prepared to truly find Matthew Stafford's successor? Or what do you do? The Ravens, blah, blah, the Rams, the Rams have been mocked to. We brought these offensive linemen up in our pods, but they've been mocked to like Francis Mauigoa. They've been mocked to Vega Ione, and then now they got USC's Mekhi Lemon sitting there. You got I forgot the Arizona State guy. What's his name?
Oh,
I forgot his name. Anyway, Tyson something.
I think
No,
so.
I forget his name. Anyway, you have options. You have options there, and what do you do with those? Do you trade back, which they totally could, but they still do have a need at wide receiver because you got Devontae Adams there, you got Puka Nakua, but beyond that, you don't really have a whole lot there. You brought you tendered Xavier Smith. He could be on the rise, but wasn't all that effective in 2025. So I don't know. There's
Hmm.
multiple directions Leslie could take this thing.
For me, I think you pick a wide receiver or you trade out
Yeah.
because
No.
you want someone underneath Puka who can kind of, that's a great guy for them to be learning underneath. Um, but again, they're fine. Of course, if they have needs and they can absolutely do something meaningful with that pick. But like when you are looking at potentially having to change quarterback next season, maybe you want to do that. Maybe you do want to trade down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like for me, for number 13, I think wide receiver would be good. Obviously, you have like those flashy, sexy names, like a it's Jordan Tyson.
Jordan Tyson, thank you.
Yeah, Sun Devil. You could go that route. You could go Carnell Tate. Maybe he drops. I doubt it, but who knows, right? And then you have Mekhi Lemon,
Yeah.
right? So those are the flashy, sexy names. I also wouldn't be mad too if they use it on offensive line because, like we did say, Matthew Stafford's entering his age 38 season, right? Like, who knows what's gonna happen there after 2026 or even this year, right? Like we are just talking about like in the last pod, like yeah, he's had like injury issues, right? 2025, he miraculously played all games and he was fantastic, won MVP. So I think wide receiver or offensive line is a route there, but if they maybe feel like they don't really need that or they're gonna go in a different direction in free agency, like maybe you do trade down like they have done in past years and collect more picks. And we all see how they do with late round picks anyway, right? Like, I mean, they just happen to hit. They have a fantastic scouting department, right? So, like, whatever Leslie does, I mean, I feel like it's going to benefit the team no matter what. But at number 13, I feel like wide receiver is option number one, and then offensive line. If it's neither of those two, then they trade down. Um, but yeah, like it's kind of crazy to me because like even though cornerback was the issue, I feel like if they had a wide receiver three, I feel like that would have been enough to maybe get over the top in a way. That's how good and that's how like we talk about like it's literally a game of inches. You
Mhm.
know, like maybe if they had that wide receiver three out there, a true wide receiver three, maybe that's enough to even beat the Seahawks, right? Because they were one play away. Who knows,
Hey,
right?
Seattle just lost their MVP.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts around it, but that's the way I viewed the NFC Championship game. Yeah, they got cooked in the secondary, but maybe if they had that wide receiver three, maybe it is. But now they add two cornerbacks, and if they add a wide receiver three, like who knows? Who knows, man? But like they were one play away, and they addressed the need, and then it's now it's like just it's all pick 'em, right? Because like they've had such a good offseason so far, and now it's like all right, like what else are you gonna do? Like I feel like you can get worse, whatever they do. That's how good that this front office is, and Sean McVay,
Hmm.
Leslie, they just continue to, just be awesome. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I'm going to go with Billy on this one. I think if you don't go wide receiver at number 13, I think you trade down. Because I think you can still trade down and get a quality offensive lineman and or another wide receiver way later in that first round, and you'd be good with those players down the line. So you're at number 13. You're in a really good spot in the top 15 where people lower than that are going to want to trade up to go get the
Yeah.
guy that they think is going to be that difference maker. So if you can stack, which we know how good Les Snead is doing this, if you can stack draft capital by trading down into the lower 20s and you set yourself up perfectly for that successor in 2027, I think that's the move you make because you need those two first round picks if you're going to take a swing at a Arch Manning, if you're going to take a swing at a Dante Moore. I don't know the other guys that are on there because I'm not, super well versed on all the college guys, but I mean, if you're going to take a swing at those guys, you're going to need that draft capital because chances are the Rams are going to be good in 2026 as well. So you're not going to be anywhere near the top 10 picks. You're going to have to trade your way up there. So and especially if you're trying to get the next guy up for Matthew Stafford, because you're not, they said, they're not in a rush to do that right now, which for obvious reasons, they don't need to. Maybe they bring back Jimmy Garoppolo for a 1 year deal or what have you, but you're not in a rush to go get that guy now, but you definitely don't need to go and get that guy in 2027. So I think trading down, no matter what, would be the smartest play here. Unless, of course, one of those top tier guys happens to fall to you at number 13, in which case you don't pass that person up. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll be watching closely to see how things pan out, and it will be a on the night preparation kind of decision.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of, I mean, like, there's a lot of wide receivers on the board who could be available at number 13. And if the Rams decide not to go that route, I see a lot of teams behind them who could use a wide receiver. You have the Steelers at 21. You have the Chargers at 22.
Yep.
You have possibly the Eagles. Who knows what's going to happen with AJ Brown,
Oh
right?
yeah,
They trade him. Maybe the Eagles,
Ravens, please.
Ravens,
Eric DaCosta.
right? Like Bills. Bills have the 26th pick.
True.
yep.
For the past number of years, the Bills have been needing a wide receiver, right? Maybe they do something with the Bills, right? I mean, like who knows? Like there's a lot of teams after number 13 who could use a wide receiver, and if there's a wide receiver there at number 13, like a Lemon who we talked about, or like a Denzel Boston, who maybe the Steelers are high on, who knows, right? But like there's teams below them who could,
Even the Jets at number 16, they could trade down
exactly.
to number 16 with the Jets, move down a few spots, and still collect because the Jets have a butt ton of everything.
Yeah.
So I
Broncos
mean,
are at 30, right? I mean, like New England's at 31. Like these are, and I feel like with the Patriots, the wide receiver is a big need for them, right? So who knows? Who knows? I mean, like, but whatever Les Snead and McVay decide to do, I mean, it's really
You
It's
can
worked out this far.
you could even go further down that. So number 34 is the Arizona Cardinals. They're sitting there. Maybe they want to trade back into the first round because they have a high level draft pick, but like they need something else. So then you trade out of the first round and you get even more draft capital for that. I don't know. I just think, in my opinion, I just think right now I feel like they're going to trade down, but I don't know. That's a conversation for way later. Um, Going back to free agency here, we're waiting for one big thing to drop, and that's the Matthew Stafford contract restructure. Les Snead already talked about it. Sean McVay already talked about it. He's the MVP. He's making like 40 million, I think it is, in 2026. So they're gonna give him a sizable um, raise. I think they're going to probably tack on 20 million maybe to that. I don't know, but that's a major thing that they're waiting for. They said that they've had fluid conversations, that it's ongoing, but also that they're going to treat it as a year to year thing. I still think they're going to do a 2 year deal, and that last year is going to be like a void year if he chooses to step away. But yeah, still waiting on that to happen too.
yeah. I
Sounds
mean,
about
it's
right to me, the 2 year situation.
yeah. Excuse me, a deal's gonna get done. I mean, obviously, like we all know the relationship that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford have, right? I mean, there's no way that they're gonna do anything to tarnish that. I mean, like we said before, this is a smart front office. Matthew Stafford's a professional. Is gonna sit back, take their time, and when a deal gets done, the deal gets done. That could happen maybe until like August, right, or something like that. It could happen maybe later on today. Who knows, right? But I mean, there's literally like zero concern about that. It's not. It's a matter of when, not if. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's really
There's
gonna
no urgency, I feel like, because he's coming back. He wants to be with this team. They've got to figure out a bunch of other stuff before they get to it. Um, yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, the, the Rams don't have a whole lot going on right now because like
No.
They don't need to have a whole lot going on. They're doing just fine. They fixed all their issues pretty quickly. They understand that, a lot of they're an attractive team to shop from, coach wise, player wise. They got everything done. They got everything in the line so they don't have to worry about it. And I think that, that's a complete credit to the way that this team is run.
Yeah, no.
yeah. Actually, the only last thing that I have a question to be posed is, like we were talking about F them picks 2.0. Are they done? Are they done trading?
I
That's what
don't think so.
that's what I'm curious about. Like, if you really are going back all in, which they did in 2021, won the Super Bowl, they went and got Von Miller, they got Jalen Ramsey. I forgot the other player that they got during that time, but they really went all in, and seemingly that's what they're doing now. You go and trade for Trent McDuffie. You go and sign Jaylen Watson. You upgrade that secondary completely, but they're not a perfect team by any means. There's still some holes that you got to address. Like we keep bringing up wide receiver. You go and upgrade that offensive line, even though they have a rock solid offensive line. You still need help there. So if you're thinking about one or both of those spots, more so the wide receiver department, do you think that they might make a trade for a wide receiver and really really go all in?
I don't see why not. There's some guys sitting there ready to definitely want to head over to LA and be part of a contending team. So I don't see. I'm not surprised if they bring in a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, clearly like the future of Devontae Adams is still kind of murky in a way because they could cut him to save up some cap space. Are they gonna do that now? It doesn't really seem like it, but I mean, who knows? Like if I mean, obviously, like we heard that they were in on AJ Brown, right? But there could be some other names who they could possibly go for. I
Brian
mean, we
Thomas Jr.
yeah, sure. Brian Thomas Jr., right? Obviously, a young, dynamic wide receiver who could possibly complement Puka Nacua in a way, right? I mean, look, like this front office is smart. They know what they're doing, and if they feel like they want to make a big splash in that department, by all means, right? I mean, they're clearly indicating that they feel like 2026 is their year, and the team that they got to get over is a team in their division and the defending reigning Super Bowl champions, right? So they feel like that's the only hurdle they got to go after. And, if they're gonna make moves to reflect that, why not? Why not?
What
So
what was the asking price? Do you guys know for AJ Brown? Were they asking for first for him?
mm,
I think
I would
that's why
assume
he
so.
had. I think that's why he hasn't been moved yet because it was something ridiculous like two first rounders. I could
oh
be,
yeah,
I could be
uh,
wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah. A high end, yeah. It was a lot. It was a significant package for sure.
So AJ Brown, you gave up the number 13 overall plus more. Is he worth that? Do you make
They
that
want a
trade?
first round pick, and it sounds like a second round pick in the 2027.
Yeah. He's 28 years old.
If you're
Yeah, I
going
don't.
all in on Stafford and you really think he's got 1 year left in him and you really won that Super Bowl and you're fine maybe next year taking a hit and building a rookie quarterback up and not expecting him to go all the way,
Yeah.
maybe.
Is AJ Brown that guy that's going to get? Is he going to be happy coming to the Rams and being utilized in the way that he needs to be utilized? Because obviously the Eagles did not do that in 2025, but you still got Puka Nakua there and you still got Devontae Adams there. So do you really need an AJ Brown? Is an AJ Brown going to cause you too many problems, too many headaches when he's not getting the ball as much as Puka Nakua? Because Puka is arguably the best receiver in the NFL. No knock to JSN over at the Seahawks, but Puka's insane.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's just a little weird. I mean, like the good thing, if let's say hypothetically speaking, obviously, like they trade for AJ Brown, he's under contract until 2029. The Rams are most definitely going to extend Puka Nacua. How's that contract gonna look like? I feel like they clearly want to make him the highest paid wide receiver. He's clearly earned that, right?
Hmm.
And the Seahawks want to do the same with JSN, right? So like the money might be a little like because right now AJ Brown's under 3 years, $96 million contract. That's quite a lot, and
mhm.
deservedly so, right? But like, do the Rams want to get in that,
Bring
I
him
don't.
on while they have Puka sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. Like things would get a little weird there. Like Puka's clearly the focal point is clearly the top, guy who they're gonna focus on and give the money to. Bringing in AJ Brown, I don't know. It could be a little weird. Like, is he gonna be able to take that secondary role? Because clearly Puka's that guy, and then AJ Brown, we all know the type of, he's a bit of a drama queen. He's a bit of a diva, right? Is that gonna bode well with Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford? Like, who knows? Maybe they just avoid that entirely. But you know, yeah, it's all speculation right now.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't. It'd be wild, and they already talked about it, and I think you do take a look at that because like you get those three guys, those are your three guys. Matthew Stafford gets AJ Brown, Puka Nakua, and Devontae Adams. Obviously, Devontae Adams was used more as a red zone threat. Keep using him in that manner, and then you got the two route running guys that can just stretch the field. Not that Devontae Adams can't do that, but obviously he's older than the other two, and we know what Puka can do. We know what AJ Brown can do. So. Yeah, I think if it costs you the number 13 pick overall, maybe that's a little too high, but maybe they can kind of package like a 2026 like second rounder and something else in addition to that. But I think you're right, buddy. I think you make a good point, and like you do have to pay Puka, and you need to make him the highest paid receiver, especially if JSN gets his contract first. You're gonna have to either match, get close to
Yep.
that, or go above that. And who knows how much the Seahawks are gonna give him. So after that season, you have to pay that man. So I don't know. It might work out, might not. I threw out Brian Thomas Jr. I think maybe if you go for another guy like that, still going in on a trade, but you don't have to give up your first rounder, and then you can still upgrade with the younger guy there, or go offensive line, or trade down and sack that draft capital. Man, it's just God. The Rams are so good at what they do, man.
They have options, man.
Hmm.
They have options, and you know, uh, it's just it's really insane to see. Like this front office is just so good, and it's really just it's really now just a free for all. Like, what do they feel like they want to do? What do they want to improve on? It's just it's crazy to see. Like Brian Thomas Jr. I feel like that's maybe more the route. He's a younger player. I feel like even maybe not as dynamic as AJ Brown, maybe not yet, but who knows? Obviously, he's a younger player, um, and if they feel like he could be a really good complement to Puka Nacua, hey, why not?
Yeah, and there's some free agents out there to
Mm-hmm.
take a look at.
Yeah, I think you have to upgrade that wide receiver room no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're doing it through the draft, or it doesn't matter if you're doing it through free agency and getting a younger guy like Brian Thomas Jr. or somebody else via trade or otherwise. But um, yeah, we will be back next week. This has been Roundtable Rams, episode number 10. Thank you, Billy and Buddy, for joining me once again. We'll be back, and maybe there's going to be some sort of trade. Maybe there's going to be some sort of clarity on where they might go in the draft, because right now we're kind of what direction do they go? They upgraded their secondary in a really, really big way. So now, you plug those holes up and F them picks 2.0. Let's see what happens.
We'll see.